Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge headfirst into the most fascinating topics. Today, it's artificial intelligence.
A field that feels like it's changing, well, every single day.
Exactly. It seems like AI news drops constantly. It's almost impossible to keep up.
Uh-huh.
But that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
We've sifted through a whole stack of the latest stuff, articles, research to pull out the really important nuggets for you.
And our mission, it's not just listing facts. We want to connect the dots, understand what these advancements actually mean.
Yeah, the implications, both the exciting possibilities and, well, the tough questions.
Exactly. We'll dig into some surprising trends, things that are genuinely shaping, well, everything.
Okay, let's get into it. Starting with some of the big industry shifts, the sort of things setting the tone right now.
Okay.
And one thing that just jumps out is the fierce competition for talent. It's intense.
Oh, absolutely. Like Meta poaching those OpenAI researchers.
Yes. 4 leading researchers. That's not just, hiring people. It feels like a strategic play in the race for AGI.
Artificial general intelligence, yeah.
Yep.
That's the big goal, AI that can do basically any intellectual task a human can.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting the right people is critical.
And OpenAI isn't just sitting back. They're pushing these innovative in-house training programs, trying to hold on to their talent, I guess.
Makes sense. But it's interesting, this focus on AGI highlights other things too, like vulnerabilities.
How so?
Well, look at the U.S. experiencing a downturn in its AI-driven hurricane forecasting. That's a pretty big deal for preparedness, right?
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah, that's sobering. And it's not just critical services. Think about traditional industries. They're scrambling.
Like TomTom.
Exactly. The GPS company, cutting, 300 jobs? And shifting completely away from the hardware, the little boxes on the dashboard.
Right, my parents still have one of those.
Huh, mine too. They're pivoting entirely to AI-driven mapping software stuff. It just shows how AI reshapes everything, even consumer habits. I mean, who buys a separate GPS now with free AI apps on your phone?
It's a massive disruption. And speaking of what AI needs to grow, there's this growing chorus calling for more open data access.
Ah, yeah, I saw that. Experts are really hammering this point home.
They are. They're saying open collaborative data sets are essential, not just nice to have, but essential to drive real progress and narrow that gap between open and closed source AI.
So sharing data might be even more important than just building a slightly better model.
Some argue exactly that. It fuels everyone. And that ties into hardware too, right? Access to the gear.
What does it use?
Yeah, the graphics processing units, the compute power. There are lessons from, the early days of computing. You need hands-on access to the powerful stuff. So now there are efforts to get GPUs to students.
To nurture the next wave of developers.
Precisely. You need that access to spark innovation.
Okay, so it's data access, hardware access. These foundational pieces are key.
They are, but on the flip side, there are some worrying signs on the funding front for, fundamental research.
Oh, like what?
Well, the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, they decided to stop funding CASP.
CASP, that rings a bell. Protein folding. AlphaFold.
Exactly. CASP was central to AlphaFold's big breakthroughs in understanding protein structures, cutting its funding. That could really slow down bio-AI innovation. Less support for the basics.
So with all this speed and shifting ground, it's no wonder regulation is such a hot topic.
Oh, absolutely. Here in the U.S., the debates are constant. How do you balance the economic potential with the risks?
Risks like bias, job losses, stifling the small guys.
All of that. Experts seem to be leaning towards flexible rules specific to different sectors, not just one big hammer.
Makes sense.
And on the hardware side, again, there are even security questions being raised. NVIDIA's GPU confidential computing, apparently some issues with scalability and risks if data isn't encrypted properly during transmission.
So needing stronger security protocols as the tech gets more complex.
Yeah, and more industry collaboration to figure it out.
Wow, okay. That's a lot happening just at the foundation. But what gets really exciting, I think, is how fast this translates into actual tools, things people can use.
It's moving incredibly quickly.
Like platform tools. Biomni, for instance, for biological research. It combines models and over 150 specialized tools. Genomics, pathology, accelerating everything.
It's like a whole AI lab bench in software.
Pretty much. And for coders, you've got things like NotebookLlama, an open source alternative to Google's Thing, letting you work locally with your documents.
Right. No cloud needed for summarizing your own stuff.
Plus that SimRepo browser extension for GitHub. giving developers AI recommendations in real time.
Yeah.
And ByteDance open sourcing their Trae IDE agent.
Yeah, competing with the established coding assistants. It's all about making AI a sort of co-pilot for productivity.
Exactly. And behind a lot of this are the language models, the LLMs. They're getting seriously powerful.
Massively. Look at Baidu's Ernie 4.5. 424 billion parameters.
Whoa.
And they open sourced it, claiming it beats GPT-4o. That's huge for accessibility, especially multimodal AI for developers everywhere.
But it's not just about making them bigger and bigger, is it?
No, not at all. In fact, NVIDIA researchers are really pushing for small language models, SLMs.
Smaller is better.
Well, more efficient. They argue SLMs can power the next wave of AI agents without needing, massive resources, less overhead.
Huh. So connecting that back, that could change everything. Powerful AI, not just in data centers, but on your phone, maybe.
That's the idea. It could democratize things significantly. It's kind of like the AI world realizing, maybe bigger isn't the only way forward. Efficiency matters.
I like that. It opens up possibility.
Definitely. And then you have Meta with their Astro framework boosting Llama 3's math skills after training with minimal extra work.
Getting smarter without starting over.
Right. And you also see these ambitious open source projects trying really hard to catch up to the big players like DeepSeek V3, even though getting enough high-quality data is a real challenge for them.
Okay, so the tools and models are evolving like crazy. Let's shift to AI in action. How's it hitting products we actually use?
Well, existing tools are getting major updates. MLX VLM, for example, version 0.3.0, big steps in handling audio, better vision processing, and this thing called quantization.
Quantization, making the model smaller and faster, right? Without losing too much smarts.
Exactly. Which is a huge deal for multimodal systems, the ones that handle audio, video, text all together. It makes them way more efficient.
And Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro, still improving.
Yep, getting stronger in writing and creative stuff. Apparently, users are rating it higher than competitors now.
Yeah, we mentioned GitHub users getting those real-time AI suggestions. That's happening now.
Right, and Google's rolled out Gemini 2.0 more broadly, putting advanced AI features like language understanding, image recognition across their whole ecosystem, trying to make it accessible.
And for us, just regular people, what's new?
Some pretty cool stuff, actually. Adobe Firefly on mobile. You can use generative fill, change parts of a photo just by typing what you want.
That used to be just in Photoshop, right? Now it's free on an app.
Yep, pretty amazing. Just type add a dog or change the sky.
That's incredible. But get this, Meta's new chatbots. They start the conversation.
Oh, wow. Proactively.
Yeah, that's a totally different dynamic, isn't it? Not just waiting for you to ask something.
It absolutely is. That could, fundamentally change customer service bots or those companionship apps, even mental health support bots, making them feel more timely, personal.
Yeah, which connects to that broader societal impact you mentioned.
Exactly. Can I give you another example? A really powerful one.
Please do.
Okay, so hospitals are using new AI tools now that dramatically improve how accurately and quickly they can detect child abuse.
Seriously?
Yeah. Studies are showing misdiagnoses dropping from over 14% down to under 2%.
Wow. That's literally life-saving potential right there.
It really makes you ask, how is AI actively improving outcomes in these incredibly critical areas?
That's amazing. But I have to ask, with something that sensitive, are there ethical checks? Worries about privacy or, bias in the AI's diagnosis?
That's a really critical point, and yes, it's a huge part of the conversation. Developers know they need to be incredibly careful with data privacy and actively fight against algorithmic bias, especially here. Getting it wrong isn't an option. So yeah, tons of research is going into making these systems robust and fair.
Good to hear.
And then look at education. Totally different area, same disruption. Nearly all Gen Z students are using AI like ChatGPT for schoolwork now.
Essays, studying.
The works.
Which is sparking huge debates about, cheating, academic integrity, forcing teachers to completely rethink assignments.
Now you assign an essay now.
Exactly. And meanwhile, OpenAI and Anthropic are battling for those students, rolling out free services, partnerships with universities, trying to win that college market early. So AI is changing how students work, how teachers teach, and how we get information too, right?
Massively. ChatGPT's use for news is skyrocketing up 116% in 6 months. News-related prompts jumped over 200%.
People are asking ChatGPT about current events instead of Googling.
More and more. Google's search traffic is actually declining for these kinds of queries. People turn to AI for summaries, and Google's own search is changing that new AI-powered mode.
Where it gives you answers directly, not just links.
Right. Immediate answers, summaries. It's efficient, sure, but it sparks big questions about transparency. Where's the info from? And source diversity. What happens to open access?
Yeah, that convenience versus knowing the source.
Yeah.
That's a tricky balance. Okay, let's look ahead a bit. The ethical frontiers, the future visions, AI co-authorship in science.
It's happening. Streamlining drafting, data analysis.
Yeah.
But yeah, huge debates. Ethics, authenticity. Who gets credit? Can we trust AI-assisted finding?
Big questions for scientific credibility.
Definitely. And then there are more immediate concerns. Google's VO3 video generator, launched in India.
Yeah.
It's causing global worry about deepfakes, misinformation, even generating racist content. Google says it has safety features, but
But the potential for harm is obvious. Underscores the need for strong rules, better moderation.
urgently. It's that double-edged sword again. But amidst the concerns, there are these amazing specialized breakthroughs, too.
Like Brain Probe.
Yeah, that Taiwanese AI analyzing MRI scans for schizophrenia, 91.7% accuracy, way better than traditional methods. That could mean much earlier diagnosis.
Incredible. And the enzyme engineering work.
At the University of Illinois, using AI and robotics to design industrial enzymes way faster and more specifically, huge implications for drug discovery, new energy sources.
So really specialized high-impact applications.
Exactly. And academia is digging deeper into how these things work. Cambridge adding lectures on mechanistic interpretability.
Trying to understand the AI's reasoning. Open the black box.
Pretty much. It's gaining serious traction. We need to understand why AI makes the choices it does, especially for trust and reliability.
Absolutely crucial.
And looking further out, that OpenAI partnership with Jony Ive, the legendary designer.
Right, trying to create AI devices that are intuitive, maybe even emotionally engaging.
Yeah, they're aiming for an iPod moment for AI, something that changes our whole relationship with it, makes it feel personal, seamless.
That would be something.
And OpenAI's own podcast gives these little glimpses into their thinking, ChatGPT's development, GPT-5 plans, how they're grappling with trust, bias, even AI sycophancy.
Sycophancy, like the AI just agreeing too much?
Kind of, yeah. Trying to please the user instead of being accurate. Plus privacy concerns. It's quite candid, actually.
Interesting. And Anthropic, they're pushing democratization too?
With Claude artifacts, yeah.
Yeah.
Tools letting almost anyone build complex apps with minimal code, making development much more accessible.
So more people can build AI tools. And we're seeing it in the workplace already, you said.
Yeah, that report from Poland, nearly half the workforce using generative AI for data analysis, content creation, it's transforming jobs fast, highlights the need for upskilling, addressing the ethics.
It's happening now.
Definitely. And just to round it out, even in the volatile crypto world, you see Ethereum having a flash crash, but then Web3 AI gets over $8 million in funding for new blockchain AI tools. So risk and innovation, side by side.
Okay, wow. So wrapping this all up,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway for you, our listeners? Just the sheer dynamism, isn't it?
Absolutely.
From those deep foundational debates, open data, hardware, to these incredible new tools changing medicine and news, right alongside these really serious ethical questions about authorship, deepfakes is moving at, well, light speed.
Yeah, the core thing is AI isn't just tech anymore. It's profoundly reshaping how we work, learn, create, even how we interact with the world and each other. It's this mix of huge opportunity and really critical responsibility.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. As AI gets more proactive, like those meta chatbots starting conversations, how do you think our relationship with technology itself is going to evolve? What kind of new human-AI collaborations that we see popping up in the next few years? Something to chew on until our next deep dive.